I have a friend who's been working towards passing the PMP exam. It's been days, years. Every time I meet him, I ask him, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm on the first chapter. I moved on to second chapter, and after some time, again third chapter, fourth, and back to first." Because you do not get the courage to sit for the exam. You forget everything. And a lot of busy professional also goes through the same cycle. So here I am. My name is Kavita Sharma. I have helped pass. I've written PMP books, passed PMP in 21 days. I passed my PMP in 21 days. So I am here to help you navigate your PMP journey. So let's get started. PMP, it stands for PMP or Project Management Professional, globally recognized, given by an institute called PMI, which is US based. Why should I do PMP? Um, just for the reason that if you do PMP, you are more recognized and you get better salaries. There is a review, there is a survey which PMI does and publish the results. So if this is link, you can go to this survey and can see. It reports, I've downloaded this survey, people get 33% higher salaries across. So if you click on this survey, this is a link which you're going to find. Here you can download this report. When I downloaded this report, it clearly shows 33% higher salaries are given to PMI, PMP people. Have a look at that. And there are lots of other opportunities. You get to apply to different locations, different places. It's a global certification. So you can go to US if you're trying to go to US or Canada or Australia. Every country recognizes this. Every domain recognizes this. So there's a perception that only IT people can do it, but construction, nowadays pharmaceutical, everybody needs to do projects. So it's a certification well understood by all the domains. What about the exam? The exam is 180 question, has to be done in 230 minutes, approximately 4 hours. The exam is on demand, which means that you can do it from home or you can do it at a center. The centers provide a pre-structured way. At home, there's somebody who's going to be watching you when you take the exam. The questions in the exam are from 3 domains. How do you manage people? How do you manage processes? Or how do you do your work? All changes and environment impact you. So if you look at the kind of questions which come, is 42% is from people domain, which means how would you manage people, work with them, motivate people. Process is 50% of the questions. So if total are 180 questions, 90 questions are going to come from process. The questions would be like, what is charter? Or no, that's not the question. The question, technical understanding of the questions would be assessed. So questions would be like, do you understand charter? Do you know how to gather requirements? Do you know what is agile? How do you gather requirement in agile? How do you manage changes in agile or in predictive projects or in hybrid projects? So those are the kind of questions you would be assessed on. If you would want to know more about the kind of questions or the domains, then you can do a search on something called PMI Eco. So search for what is PMI, PMP Eco, and it is gonna give you a download which you can see and find out more about PMP exam content and outline. This is the latest one which I got from the pmi.org. So it says domain 1, domain 2, and 3, eligibility, and all of that. This is something which I had shown you earlier. And then it talks about, how do you, so if for people, how do you manage conflict? How would you lead a team? How would you build a team? How would you collaborate with stakeholders? And so on. And then if I look at people, processes, then it talks about how do you manage communication, risk, how do you work with budget and resources, schedule management, how would you do that, scope management, and so on. Business environment would be more about, how would you manage compliances, which is outside your domain, outside your perspective, which you can control. How would you deliver value, and how would you support organization changes, and so on. So have a look at this document as well. The kind of questions which you can expect is objective type questions. So what it means is there would be a scenario, and then you are asked to select which choice is the best choice. And there are radio buttons, which means you can select one single choice. Primarily, this contribute around 50% of the questions. 50 to 60% of the questions would be single choice questions. Then the second type of questions would be multi-select. What does it mean? That you would have a scenario and then it says select two that applies. So there would be check boxes. You can select 2 or 3 out of given choices. Expect somewhere around 30% of the questions gonna come from multi-select type of questions. Then there would be drag and drop or hotspot kind of questions, which means that there may be a picture and then some text here, you drag and drop it at the right place. Matching questions. Matching questions are like some scenarios, some definition, and then you have to mix and match. Fill in the blank kind of questions would be fill in the blank, and you may have to write a text. It could be a simple thing like a definition or some calculation text, etc. So it says fill in the blank. How many questions you gonna expect in various categories? As I told you, fill in the one single choice would be 50 to 60%. Second would be 30% or so. Drag and drop, expect somewhere 5 to 10 questions here, or maybe less than. Some people have told me that only 2 questions or 3 questions. Matching, these are increasing, 15 to 20 questions in matching. Fill in the blank, 1 question, if at all you get that. So those are the kind of distribution of type of questions. The eligibility, how do you think you are eligible? Now you want to do PMP, but there is an eligibility criteria which PMI has put in. You would need to have 4-year degree here, and then 36 month of project management experience. It has to be non-overlapping. What does it mean is that you should not be doing 2 projects simultaneously. You cannot claim more than 8 hours in a day. And then if you need to know more about it, there is a video and there is a calculation sheet at kavitasharma.net. Go to PMP application. How to file PMP application? There is a predefined template. You can have a look at that. And then 35 contact hours. Before you sit for the exam, you need to learn project management from somebody who's affiliated with PMI. So this is a 35 PDU certificate. PDU is Professional Development Unit. So get into a training with something called ATP, Authorized Training Providers, and gain that 35 PDUs. These 3 you need to declare so that you become eligible for PMP. What is the cost of PMP? Now, PMP cost for member is 405 USD, and there is a membership fee which you need to pay every year, which is 139 USD. So total is 544 USD. If you look at non-member, you don't want to become a member and you want to give the exam, it is straight away 555 USD. So it makes sense that you become a member. You can download a lot of stuff, you can refer, you can volunteer, and so on. So become a member and then give the exam. For India region, it is 55,000 some hundred with GST. If you need to know more about it, you can do a search on your website, pmi.org. So for India region, if you go to the PMI website, you're gonna see this is the price for PMP exam. If you're a member, then this is the price. Do your own calculation that you want to become a member or you want to go for PMP examination directly. My advice is that you become a member and then give the exam. The total cost of ownership, or which you pay to PMI, would be this plus 18% GST. So should you go for PMP? If you want to grow in your profession, you should. There is at least 20 to 25% increase in your salary. You get better prospects. And now this courses or this certification is mandatory in a lot of managerial roles. So go for PMP. That is the advice which I can give. If you want to go for PMP, you need to know what is the prep time. How much time should you put aside for preparation? My suggestion is typically based on the available time, it can span across 21 days. I have a student I myself cleared in 21 days, and there are students who clear in 3 years. But on an average, it's going to take you somewhere around 45 days to 3 months. That's the average I'm looking at. Keeping 2 hours every day in your schedule on and off. So 3 months is a sufficient time. What are different certifications which are available if you don't want to do PMP? There is CAPM. If you are not eligible for PMP, you can go for CAPM. If you are agile enthusiast, your organization is practicing agile, you can go for with CSM. If your company follows Prince2, then Prince2 is a good certification to go with. PGMP is another certification by PMI, same institute, which is for senior project manager or program managers. Go with that. SAFE is for the certification or methodology, which is for large, bigger organizations which are following agile. So it makes sense in case your organization is following a SAFE, then go for this certification. Let's look at the difficulty level. PMP is very difficult. CAPM is slightly lesser difficult than PMP. CSM is very easy. Prince2 is easier than PMP. PGMP is difficult, and SAFE is slightly easy but very expensive. So you decide which certification you would want to go for as your next certification. If you have decided PMP, how should you start? The first thing which you need to do is attend a PMP workshop. Once you attend a PMP workshop, you get 35 PDUs for you, which is the mandatory, eligibility criteria. Then become a PMI member. Because with becoming PMI member, you get to download all these standards. You also have access to various templates, etc. You can volunteer. You can be part of discussion forum. So become a member, and also you get discount in the PMP application. Once you're a member, file the PMP application, and then you should be able to, once it approves, then schedule your PMP exam. Keep on practicing a lot of PMP questions till you start getting 80% or above. So that's when you are ready for the exam. Schedule your exam and pass your PMP exam. Very, very easy. You just have to get started. Go and attend a workshop. That's the first step. If you have more questions, you can write to me at help@kavitasharma.net, or just respond with this YouTube video. I would definitely respond. Thank you for listening in. Have a very nice day. Bye-bye.